Hi, my name's Jenny Thompson Gruber, and I have a website, climbingmaslow.org. You can check out. I have different products on there. Beauty, home, garden, heart, mind, body, community collaborations. And right now I have different products for beauty. In the art section, there's also an art section. There's some prints that you can purchase for sale. So the website is based on the philosophy presented by Abraham Maslow, the hierarchy of needs. It starts with basic needs and it goes on up to self-actualization. So the principle behind that is, there's different needs along the way that you meet, but the ultimate goal is to be in a place where you're so, your needs have been met, you're fine, you're more than fine. So you're at a point where you can help others. So helping yourself first, growing to the point where you can help others with their journey through the pyramid of the hierarchy of needs. So I have different products that it'll always be growing, it'll be changing. But for now, there's beauty products there and some prints in the art section. So I have these cooking videos because I have a hearth section, that's the food, that's taking care of, obviously the basic needs of food and shelter. And so I have different videos that I enjoy making for my family and sharing with you. I'm not, obviously a professional chef, but I am a rather good cook. So follow along. If you ever want the recipes, then email me. It's Melinda. Melinda's my first name. Jennifer's my middle name. melinda.cm@gmail.com. So you can always email me your perspectives or recipe requests, or if you have different books that you think that I'd enjoy. But we're going to start reading these Maslow's books. I've never really read them. I've read his first one where he introduces his principles, but none of his other ones. So this one is called Religions, Values, and Peak Experiences. So when we read these books, you're obviously going to maybe think some of it's hogwash or some of it will resonate. And, if it doesn't resonate, then just kind of kick it out. You don't need it. But if there is something that resonates, or a different perspective, or something you hadn't thought of before, or if you're learning something, then, take it in, grow from it, do what you need from it. And that's kind of what this journey is about. So you can just watch the video, look at the different recipes. Today we're making lasagna. My daughter's very pregnant, and so we're filling up her freezer. So when she has baby, then she has food that she doesn't have to worry about making, because she'll be a first-time mom, and that is hectic enough in itself, right? So we're making lasagna. It's like Italian sausage, ground beef, and then it's diced tomatoes, seasonings like onions, garlic, onion powder, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and parsley. And then the wet components, which is ricotta, cottage cheese, eggs, shredded mozzarella, pepper. And then you just boil the noodles, do the layers. I like to top with fresh mozzarella. I like to add spinach in between my layers just to give it a nice green component. They say that best recipes, or when it's healthy for you, you have a rainbow of colors. So I always try to include some sort of rainbow of colors in everything that I make. And anyways, so follow that along, and then we're going to read this book. So it's not meant to be like a triggering or polarizing in any way. It's just reading books about philosophy, and this one is called Religious Values and Peak Experiences. So people have different views on religion, people have different views on values and morality, and people have different views on peak experiences. So, I feel very confident that people will have different opinions, and that's okay. Like, that's kind of what it's for. Like, listen to them, grow from them. If you hate them, don't take it in. All right. So we're going to start with the editorial introduction. The world is seeing increased communication among political and economic philosophies, among the social sciences, among religions, among the physical sciences, and among people in general. Although there are individual differences in the cultural and material developments of the nations of the world, there has been a growing movement towards the establishment of a world philosophy in the social and physical sciences. Concurrently with this growth of international communication and the unity it has brought about in the sciences, and the lesser amount of agreement it has engendered among political and social theorists, there has been a rising sentiment in favor of increased communication among, if not unity, the religions of the world. So that's kind of cool, right? They're saying increased communication is bringing increased unity. So, not talking about things doesn't really help, because you can't understand, you can't find ways to be empathetic, you can't answer questions you might have. So increase communication, increase unity. I like it. All right, let's see. Here we are. Protestant groups have abandoned or abandoning their strict sectarian views. So sometimes I'm going to come across maybe some words I don't know. So sectarian, let's see. We can, my thing's not working. All right, I'm going to look that up in a second. Sectarian views. The Ecumenical ECUMENICL Council has brought changes that, although so far largely procedural, give promise to the increased world cooperation between the Roman Catholic Church and other faiths. And efforts have been and are being made to reconcile the views of great religious leaders of all religions, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, and Hindu, religions that in the past have been regarded by their followers as having been founded upon the direct revelation of a supreme being chosen, an earthly prophet. Traditionally, religion has been of spirit, science of the body, and there has been wide philosophic gulf between the knowledge of body and the knowledge of spirit. The natural sciences and religion have generally been considered as natural and eternal opponents. All right, so when you think of it, the body dies when you die, and the spirit lives on. So it kind of makes sense that they would be eternal opponents or opposites. William James, through his psychology, especially his varieties of religious experience, and John Dewey in his A Common Faith, have strongly influenced the views of Dr. Maslow in this, the 35th volume of Kappa Delta Pi lecture series. Dissenting from the followers of those prophets who claim direct revelation from God, and from the 19th century scientists who denied not only direct revelation but God himself, the author declares that these revelations were, in his words, peak experiences. So the peak experiences in this book is defined by, and this is me talking, not the book talking, the direct revelation from God. All right, so peak experiences, which are characteristic not only of specifically ordained missionaries of God, but of mankind in general. Dr. Maslow considers these revelations valid psychological events worthy of scientific rather than metaphysical study. Keys to a better understanding of peculiarly human aspect of man's existence. This volume is presented as a contribution to philosophical and scientific thinking, as one interpretation of fundamental aspect of life, as a step towards a better understanding among the religions of the world, and as a possible program for the development of a healthy relationship between modern science and modern theology. And this book here was published United States of America, 1970, reprinted 1970, 71, 72, 73, twice, 74, 75. All right. And then this book is published in 1976. So it's funny because, like, that still is today, right? People are like, follow the science. And then other people are like, follow the Lord. So even though the book, it's like 50 years old, then, or a little over 50 years old, like, it's still just something that they were thinking about then, thinking about now, a healthy relationship between modern science and modern theology. And I really do like the part where they talk about how having those conversations leads to unity. Like, have the conversations. People always like, oh, avoid these topics. And I'm always like, no, have the conversation. Like, that's fine. Okay, sectarianism is defined as an excessive attachment to a particular sect or party. All right, so sectarianism, narrow-minded adherence to a particular sect, political, ethnic, or religious, often leading to conflict with those of a different sect or beliefs. Second definition, prejudice, hatred, and or discrimination based on being from a different sect within the same faith. So two different things, right? So they're talking about, well, one, it brings narrow-mindedness because you believe in it, right? So you feel like you're right, and when someone's right, then the contrary is everyone else is wrong, right? Like, you stand in your value system, and then it leaves you to believe that, well, if someone doesn't value what you value, then they're wrong and you're right. So I think, and then often leading to conflict with those different sects or beliefs. So it just creates, well, division, right? That would naturally create division if you are standing so firm in your belief system that it makes you upset towards anyone who thinks differently than you. So I think the conversations bringing unity is just saying, yes, we recognize we believe in different things, whether it be science, whether it be theology, whether it be some combination of both. Now people, there's like the spiritual. I don't think the spiritual was, well, maybe it was. There's a lot of hippies in the 70s. I don't know. But this book so far has not mentioned being spiritual. Although it does talk about the metaphysical, which can be interpreted lots of different ways. Okay, so start with the preface. Since this book was first written, there's been much turmoil in the world, and therefore much to learn. All right, well, same then, same now. Several of the lessons I've learned are relevant here, certainly in the sense that they are helpful supplements to the main thesis of this book, or perhaps I should call them warnings about over-extreme, dangerous, and one-sided uses of this thesis. Of course, this is a standard hazard for thinkers who try to be holistic, integrative, and inclusive. They learn inevitably, sorry, I can't read, that most people think atomistically in terms of either black or white, all in or all out, of mutual exclusiveness and separativeness. A good example of what I mean is the mother who gave her son 2 ties for his birthday. As he put on one of them to please her, she asked sadly, "And why do you hate the other tie?" So I'm just pausing for a second so we can take that in, right? The duality, right? They talk about just kind of the conflict of having an either or mentality. Either it's this way or it's that way. Like it just like takes out all the gray that lives in between. So it doesn't mean, right? And it's just like such a simple example. Like you could talk about the complexities of, 2 different viewpoints and all the gray in between, but here the example is just a tie. Like he doesn't hate the other tie necessarily, or maybe he does, but she's assuming because he likes one that he doesn't like the other, when who knows why you picked the tie in the first place, right? Okay, so I forgot to mention that the editorial introduction was written by E.I.F. Williams, editor, Kappa Delta Pi Publications. All right, so this is now we're into the preface. And, it's kind of long. All right, and this is written in 1970 by Dr. Maslow. So I guess at the time in May 1970, he was living in California. All right, so it seems like we are going to look at kind of the duality of thought. One being, if you're extreme in one view or another, that it can be one-sided, possibly dangerous. Like we're in such a time period where people think words are so dangerous. Like I don't think they need to be. I don't think you need to interpret them to be. You just kind of can take them in and see what to gain from it. But here we're going to talk about it. All in, all out, mutual exclusiveness and separativeness. So mutual exclusivity, I'm going to look up the proper definition. This is very mutual exclusive. I feel like I studied that a lot in economics. But let's see what it says. Refers to situations where 2 or more events cannot happen simultaneously, and implies that one outcome prevents the other outcome from occurring, or that both outcomes prevent each other from happening. Okay, so when we think about mutual exclusivity, obviously it exists, right? Like you can't go to work and go to brunch both at 9 a.m. Like one can happen, the other one can't happen, right? But I think it's just referring to thought right here. Like you can think of 2 things at the same time, and maybe they're contradictory, maybe they're not, but you can hold different thoughts in your head about, I don't want to get into examples. We'll just see what the book has to bring or whatever. But so you can hold thoughts, but as far as time goes, you have to choose how you spend your time. You can't do everything all at once, as they say. All right, I think I can best, we're going back to the book now. I think I can best state my warning against polarization and dichotomizing by a historical approach. Dichotomizing. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that correctly. dichotomizing. See, I'm already learning so much because I like don't know a lot of these words, or I don't know or like I've heard these words, but I've just like never really taken the time to look up the definitions. So let's see. All right. Oops. DICHOTOMIZING. All right. Regard or represent as divided or opposed. Oh, is it wait. Dichotomize? Dichotomize. Oh my gosh. See, y'all help me talk. I'm like so phonetic that I like don't know how to say words when they're like, who's it? Dichotomize. I think that's it. Sorry. Dichotomize. See, now I know the word. My warning against polarization and dichotomizing. All right. Sorry. Okay. I think we're on the second paragraph of the preface. I think I can best state my warning against polarization and dichotomizing, there we go, by a historical approach. I see in the history of many organized religions a tendency to develop two extreme wings: the mystical and individual on one hand, and the legalistic and organizational on the other. All right. Now, in our country, especially ever since probably like 2016, there's always been like this polarization. It's like, holy cow, calm down, world. But nobody calmed down. Maybe we're going to calm down now. Maybe we're just like entering into a new thing. But yeah, and nobody liked it. I mean, everybody spoke about it and hated it, but then it like kept carrying on, which like seemed bananas. But here we are. Okay. So, I see in history of many organized religions a tendency to develop two extreme wings, the mystical and individual on one hand, and the legalistic and organizational on the other. The profoundly and authentically religious person integrates these trends easily and automatically. Right? Well, that you kind of think of that and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because they're thought to think of right and wrong, sin, not sin, forgive, not forgive, heaven, hell, like, so, you know, and it's, if you're thinking about that black and white, then you're thinking, oh, well, everything's lumped into either an okay category or a not okay category. But like, in reality, that's hard, right? That's why people struggle, because it's hard to live that way. All right, the forms, rituals, ceremonials, and verbal formulae in which he was reared remain for him exponentially rooted, symbolically meaningful, archetypal, unitive. Such a person may go through the same motions and behaviors as his more numerous co-religionist, but he is never reduced to the behavioral as most of them are. Most people lose or forget the subjectivity religious experience and redefine religion as a set of habits, behaviors, dogmas, forms at which extreme becomes entirely legalistic and bureaucratic, conventional, empty, and its truest meaning of the word anti-religious. So I think is what he's saying is, when you redefine religion as a set of habits, behaviors, dogmas, forms, which at the extreme becomes entirely legalistic, bureaucratic, blah, 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 concluding anti-religious, that he's saying that habits, behaviors, dogmas, forms, when taken to extreme, become anti-religious, is what I think Maslow is saying there. The mystic experience, the illumination, the Great Awakening, along with the charismatic seer who started the whole thing, are forgotten, lost, or transformed to their opposites. Organized religion, the churches, finally may become the major enemies of the religious experience and the religious experiencer. This is the main thesis of the book, okay? So you can see how people might have a problem with this and maybe think this book is anti-religion. I think it's just pointing out it's going to, I don't know, because we're in this together, if you want to be. But he's saying, taken to extreme, the organized religion might become the enemies of what started out as something, well, that was just based in theology. All right, so that is what we're going to talk about. We're going to just kind of go through this with every video, maybe get through this book. I have another one that I want to get through too. So let me know what you think. Check out my website. Continue to follow me. Follow me on Instagram at Climbing Maslow. Follow me on YouTube, MTG Climb. I also have Climbing Maslow page on Facebook. But all right. Thank you. I hope you enjoy my video. I hope you make the lasagna. And till next time, I suppose.